What's up, everybody in the West Coast, pop to the East Coast to around the world? We are back once again. Your boy, the final boss, and the main man, Zach, covering The Last of Us HBO original series. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of stuff to break down for you. We're coming with you on this review on Tuesday. It's on me. I had a crazy 2 days, but we watched the show. We're thinking about figuring out where we're going to schedule this, but definitely check in if you like what you're seeing. If you're liking the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, support this. We got 9 episodes, so we're going to keep these coming, man. So definitely
Yes.
check it out. A lot to talk about. So both me and Zach have played the original Last of Us. We're watching the shows. We're watching it with our significant others. We're all really into this. So definitely let us know what you think. And let's get into it, man. Zach, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this. I'll save my endorsement of this episode to the end, but
Okay.
this was up there in echelon of how to perform video game to screen.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So like, man, I'm really enjoying this. And before we get into this, I would have correct some stuff from last week. I really said I like the opening, the credits, and Zach said, that's looking like cut and paste, like Game of Thrones. And I'm watching this week, and I'm like, you know what? I think you're right, actually, man. I think you're right. I think I was wrong on that. I'm gonna give Zach his credit for that one, man.
That's all right. It's a combination. See, if you're watching way too much TV like I am, you see that in Game of Thrones, Yellowstone, Westworld, and I know there's a couple other ones. So some production companies getting a fat payday.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But if you joined in last week, we were watching Last of Us episode 1. They left off after Joel and Tess discover Ellie is infected. We see Joel beat the brakes off of his former not drug supplier, druggee, and it ends on a credit. And it cuts out. You zoom in, nighttime. They're headed towards the city. You see a clicker in the background. But Zach, when we pick up on episode 2 now, it's daytime.
Yes. That's our MVP right there, the episode. It is, and we go to Indonesia. So, are you liking the scientist aspect that are opening these episodes?
All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, I see what they're doing, and I kind of like that they're not just abandoning what happened before. I like that they're doing the lead up because you don't see that in a lot of these zombie shows. They just completely once you shit hits the fan, you don't see any more of that lead up anymore. So I'm glad we're
Yes.
seeing this type of stuff. This one was cool. What'd you think?
I liked it. It helps explain more. Again, if you didn't play the game, I am a big fan of mystery, but in this case, when it's so specific, I think it's necessary, especially HBO. Their shows tend to draw more of an adult crowd, a crowd that doesn't really
Yeah,
play the video games, especially with shows like Succession. I'm glad they did this, and how they did it was so good. They interrupt her eating her meal. They bring her into this institution, and they have her look at something. She thought she was going to be in trouble. Cinematography in this episode is fucking great too.
yeah,
But it's so good. The fear in her when she sees this inside, when she's looking at this in the microscope and understanding what this is, when that shit moved and she got so
yeah.
afraid. Ooh. And then like she just wanted to go home because there is no vaccine. Like she knows this can't be cured.
So that's the thing with me. So when we watched the opening last week with the scientists, and now this week, you hit a point where like nothing's gonna work. Like there's no hope. And I kind of like seeing that. And my girlfriend watching it, seeing it as a new viewer, she feels that more. So I'm glad they do it. Like me, I'll admit when I'm watching it right now, I'm like, all right, let's get to the characters. I want to get to it.
Right.
But I'm glad they put this in here because I don't think it runs too long and it really gives you some more background, which is nice, which you don't really get to see.
Right. And I like that they went to Indonesia. They are going to focus on America and treat it like the game and make it kind of like a one of the people involved said that it was going to be like a love letter to America, the video game, kind
Yeah.
of how they travel. They had a section that they cut because they didn't have the money for it. I'm kind of glad they didn't have the budget for it. A bunch of worldwide pan shots that show famous places around the world after the virus. So you see the city in this episode, but it was supposed to be shots like that throughout the world, which I'm glad they
Oh,
didn't. And then they include this a scientist in the know fearing and telling that they should start bombing the city.
yeah. See that was wild. That was really wild. I had some Game of Thrones flashbacks. Burn them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sticking with here, Jakarta, Indonesia. I want to bring this up, Zach, because we rewatching last episode and hearing from some people I was that watched it from some of my friends, we missed something. So throughout the entire episode, Joel and Sarah could have got infected 3 different times. So now
Hmm.
we wake up. Sarah's making Joel breakfast for his birthday, right? Trying to make some pancakes. There's no flour. On the radio last episode, they say there's some issues going on in Jakarta. And then when you looked it up, Jakarta is one of the biggest producers of flour and mill throughout the world. So now they don't have the flour for the pancakes, right? Next scene, we see the neighbors feeding biscuits. I don't want them. They looks kind of creepy. They don't eat it. Sarah goes to the house later. The cookies. If it was chocolate chip, she would have ate it, but it was raisin. Out here feeding infected bakery goods.
I can't even believe that. That is such nice touches on there. Way to point that out.
So it's little small things they've been doing. That wasn't really a big thing in the game. You wouldn't have known that in the game. But there's little small details they're adding for viewers to keep up with, and there's small little game things that we'll get to later on. So I'm really enjoying the little stuff, man.
Yeah, that's a really nice touch. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, so that would hit us. So definitely let us know if you guys see anything else that we didn't see. Let us know, man, because there's a lot to unpack with this episode.
There is. Definitely leave comments on stuff like Easter eggs, anything like that, because we're gonna be finding these out as the show goes on.
All right. And then before we move on to the show, we get to this part. So Zach, the creator of Last of Us, Naughty Dog's head now, Neil Druckmann. This is his directorial debut, episode 2. So that's such a huge thing to see, man. The Last of Us, my video game, all these video game culture, jumping in TV shows. He's getting credits now. He's out here. It's big time. Yeah. So like he's got his directorial debut. The Last of Us game shot up 357% in sales.
Damn.
So all around, they're doing some big things. So I'm happy to see it.
They are. And last week's episode, what did you say? It topped off that the night at like 4.1 million or something like that?
4.1 million, and throughout the week it hit
next
10,
day,
Big 10. Yeah, next day.
I think it was like, like the next day. This show is really blown up. This one went up, I think, 22% in viewers, and that was like 5 point something. So they're doing something right. Word of mouth is good. Keep talking about this show and keep commenting on our live streams as we do this.
For sure. So yeah, let us know, man, what you guys think. Moving on to the episode. So we wake up with Ellie just sleeping there. I'll before you tell them a little more about the episode, I want to say in this part here, in the game when you're playing it, it's all night. You're not getting to the daytime at all. So this is like for a lot of people one of the scariest parts because it's your opening to these clickers, these creatures, the runners, the stalkers, and it's all at night. So it's really crazy. You're low leveled, and so that was a little difference I noticed here. So they give you a little daytime. It's a little easier. I'm not as crazy, but in the game when you got to this part, it was very, very scary.
Yeah. I want to say this part too is just so good between the difference between Joel and Tess, and we'll get to Tess later on, but
Yes.
she was the glue for these two, and we'll see how it goes going forward. But man, was she so good at her role.
What's her name? Anna Torv, I believe. I haven't really seen too much of what she's in. We talked about it last week, but she just killed this role. Like, I mean, she's unbelievable right now as Tess.
Yeah. I hope she gets bigger things to come. She was in some other stuff too that we did talk about, like Fringe, and man, did she just like when you can keep a character like Joel in check, that's a good thing.
That's the thing, and it's just like every time I see her on screen, she's just embodying the role, and it's just great stuff. So, and like we saw with Nico Parker, who took on the role of Sarah, you don't have a lot of time to really sell us on your character, especially when you have a preconceived idea of what the character should be like, and you're out here just nailing it. Like, so shout out to Anna, man.
Yeah. All right, so the road trip begins.
Yes, the journey.
Oh man, what do you think of how they handled how the city looked?
I thought it was cool. I don't know if I'm being nitpicky, but some parts I could definitely tell, like, okay, this is straight up like green screen or like the CGI, like, but for the most part, I thought they handled it very well, and it looked like the game. Looked like I was playing the game, like sometimes 1 for 1 with the shots.
Right. I agree. It's actually this scene in particular, especially when I was taking the slide, you can see it looks like they're,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say photoshopped on there, but it's a lot to cover though. But I'll give them credit for going into detail. You could tell with like the reflection of how the sun was in between the buildings and the windows, and just they're really, really doing well. We talked about this last week with the dead body up on the wall with the mushrooms growing on and everything.
Yeah.
So I will give him credit. Everything's going to look like CGI nowadays, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're moving through the beginning of the journey, man. They get to the museum. They get to their first spot. You can go the long way or the shortcut. They try to take the shortcut. And there's another part here where we reached. Joel's like he like used the gun to like knock one of the roots and something like that. He said, "Oh, this one's still alive." So this wasn't in the game, I don't think either. But this little tidbit here. So say you step on one of these things, these little roots that connect all over through the city. All the clickers or runners in one area will hear that and it will locate and lock onto your position. So that's another added little tip I think is really cool.
So they said in the after show part 2 that this is a real thing in
Yeah.
forests, and they named it. Do you think this is a good substitute for not having spores?
I don't think it is. For me, the whole spores thing just made it different. Like, okay, you can't do a lot. You really have to be like on your shit because yeah, you can get bit, you can eat something that's not good, and it's in the air. So that just makes it the threat level go higher. And then for me also, since I played both games, there's certain scenes that I thought were like some of my favorite scenes that involved the spores being there.
Yeah.
So I think for me, they said they didn't rule it out for the show. Just for season 1, they couldn't have it in there, which I've been telling a lot of my some of my friends here. Like, yeah, it's HBO. I'm sure the budget is nice, but when you're an unproven show, a video game show, they're not going to just throw money at you.
Right.
So right now they're getting a lot of they're building a lot of credit. So hopefully if they get renewed for season 2, we'll see that budget, go up to where it needs to be.
I hope so.
Yeah. So it is a nice touch, but I still would like the spores.
Yeah, yeah. I loved this shot really. Seeing the buildings like that because I remember that like so vividly. From when
Yeah.
you're going through the game.
Yeah, so there's a few things here, man. Like this part here, like I remember like that building that's leaning over. I think we actually went in there for a little bit and we cut through there during the game. That's where we seen like the first clickers on the bottom. One thing for me that I will say, again, I'm not trying to nitpick, but there's a few things. I did love the episode.
Yeah.
As someone who played the game, they're cutting a lot of shit. They're cutting, they're speeding through this. I know like the way the budget is, you only have 9 episodes, you got to get through some certain things, you got to hit certain beats. But right now, I feel like they're just speeding through a lot. On the flip side of that, my girlfriend who has never seen any of this, she thinks the pacing's going well. She it's working for her.
Okay, I kind of agree with both. I think the pacing is very good, especially if you're not familiar with the game. And prime time, let us know if you played the game and if you're liking the show or not. It's a hit to us, but I think they are. But you gotta watch it. Look what happened with Game of Thrones. When you're getting ahead of source material, there is no game 3, and so if you go through the entire season, the entire first game in a season, for fans, you really got to stretch out the second one or do some other stuff. So you can only do so much flashbacks.
Yeah, you don't want to get too flashback heavy. Then what's the point? But yeah, like there's certain things like, and we'll get to it later in the episode. I just felt like we could have had a little more time to flesh it out. We're doing a TV show, but then at the same time, when I see it from someone's perspective who has never played the game, you don't want to get too much stuff in there and like slow down the pace. So
Right.
I'm torn right now. We'll see how it plays out. And again, I understand there's certain things in the game you play at your own pace. You're the one playing, and there's certain things you do to have more action. But yeah, I'm a little torn on the pace right now for me.
Yeah. Well, one of the producers also said that the one difficult thing that adapting a video game is adapting that very same aspect. If you play
Yeah.
the game, you can play 12 hours straight if you want. In here, you
Yeah.
have to pace it.
Yeah. So I do understand that. I'm going to cut him some slack on that. Again, we'll see how it plays out. So far, so good. Let's get to it, man. On the journey, I also real quick before we get to it, I do love the banter between them so far. Like I'm really starting to feel I'm getting attached to Bella Ramsey as Ellie, and Joel. This dude Pedro just hitting on all cylinders. All I see is Joel.
This is such a good Joel. I'm loving this Joel. Yeah, Ellie's really growing on me, but Joel hit me right from the start. Again, the opening like first 15, 20 minutes, it has to sell you on everything that show is about. And man, did he just sell. You can see that he kind of sees his old daughter in Ellie,
Yeah.
but he's not fully there yet, which is great. He talk about pacing. That's pacing a character.
Yeah, it is. And to me, it looks like he's fighting it. It looks like he's fighting, trying to like, because that banter you've seen him have it with Sarah, like they go back and forth taking jabs at her, and it seems like he's trying to fight it. He's coming off more aggressive as opposed to like how he was playful with Sarah. So
Right.
this clip or this picture you have up here, I loved it because when you get to this part, without even questioning what she's seeing, Ellie goes, "Yo, I can't swim. What are we doing here?" And immediately I get triggered to the game where Joel has to keep getting the wooden the planks to have her transfer over the water so she can't swim. Um, yeah, so this was a cool little touch, but then he finds out, oh, the water's only what 2 or 3 feet deep.
Right.
So great stuff there.
So for me, I played this game like week 1 when it came out, like so long ago. So a lot of things. This episode helped refresh
Yeah,
so much gameplay, and I totally forgot about that plank aspect. I that makes the joke about it not even being deep water that much more great.
yeah. So yeah, really cool stuff there. I think it's time for at least for me the highlight of the episode. 'Cause I don't think what else happens yet. The
I
highlight.
just want to,
Oh, you got
yeah,
it. You got it.
we'll go get. I just want to get to this part. This is a part too that if you played the game,
Yeah,
this is so well, and this will go into my final review of this episode. This is how like you incorporate stuff that mattered in a video game that helped grow characters and also felt like you're playing the video game because like this is a scene where you connect in the video game. She comes around the other side of the door, and it's such a video game scene done perfectly for the screen.
yeah. I did enjoy this scene too because again, you get to see them go at it with each other. And again, like you said at the beginning of the review, Tess is still the glue for this. Like the only reason they're interacting is because of Tess. If Tess wasn't there, Joel wouldn't be here. Ellie would be on her own.
Right.
So I like that we finally get them on their own, like just a little taste of them by themselves, because it is still that little awkwardness, of course. For me, watching this scene, it made me think if this was the video game, it would have been me as the character doing all the hard work to get the door open while the other character rests. So they kind of switched it for us, so I thought was kind of funny in my head.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's get to it.
All right, so we have a nice, beautiful moment where everything seems calm, everything seems normal. They did tease all the massive clickers and runners when we seen them look over to the view,
Yeah.
and we seen all of them had just flooded the city. So there's another thing that happened in the game. Joel looks out and he actually says something towards Ellie, like that's not condescending. He's like, so how you the first time out? This is her first time outside of the QZ. She was born in a quarantine zone, and this is her first time out in the broad daylight. She thinks things are safe. She's starting to get comfortable. She's with the two very capable people.
Yeah.
He says, do you enjoy the view? He said, yeah, I can't knock the view, but the jury's still out if I still enjoy being out of the QZ. So we'll see how that goes. And now we get to the museum. Zach, how did you feel about this part?
Again, it was like playing the video game. It was so good. Like again, it was like it wasn't a jump scare, but it was kind of a jump scare. So they know how to do the horror with this, and I love it. I'm gonna applaud this every time I see this on screen. Practical effects. Oh
Yes.
my good gracious.
Yes. Everything's practical, everything's good. And so here's my thing. If you're playing the game, again, I'm gonna keep mentioning the game. You're playing the game, right? You get to this part, you gotta sneak around, you gotta be stealthy.
Yes.
And I'm starting to think to myself, where's the bottles? Where's the bricks? Throw a brick, distract the clicker. Everything goes south and you start shooting bullets.
Right.
Oh man, this guy's a terrible player.
I think so too. That's what I thought. As a quick side note, there was a line by Tess where Ellie basically says like she's fine, she's not tired, and she can like keep walking.
Yeah.
Tess says try doing that with our knees. So you see Pedro Pascal and Ellie ducking and hiding in the museum and trying to be quiet, right? So you get that aspect of the gameplay, no bricks or bottles yet, which maybe they'll wise up to later on in the series. Yeah. Pedro Pascal said you will not see Joel do too much of the crouching because of his age. So it was kind of funny because I read that before the series started, and then Tess gave that line, so I thought that was pretty funny. Okay. So enjoy the crouching while you can.
Yeah. At this point, I think Joel's in his 50s, I believe.
So I think so.
He's up there because I think he was in his 30s when the game started, 20-year gap. Yeah, like, so this whole thing, this is the part where watching it, girlfriend was petrified. I love the way they did the clickers. And it looks like they really maximized their budget. Like, again, I think there could be a little more they could have done with the makeup and everything. But for what it is, I thought this was very well done.
Right. The clickers are going to be one of the reasons why everyone's talking about the show, especially we get more upgrades from the creatures. But their process for the practical effect that they showed after the show aired, after the credits,
Still gotta
shows
watch
how
it.
much detail. They're good. They're like 2-3 minutes, and it just
Okay.
shows how much detail that they gave a crap about this. If you look at this shot and a lot of these stills, a lot of the moments in the show, I can't put on here as stills because they don't really resonate on here because they're so dark. So knowing that they're
Yeah.
so dark, they could have cheated, but they didn't. They went, and let me go back to the slide here. Look how good that is. That's the shot from the screen. That's not the
See,
whatever
that's
shot. I'm going to
insane
show a
right there.
shot. I'm going to show a shot later, but this is the shot from the screen.
That's a great shot. Damn.
Man, yeah,
So, and again, like I'll tease you a little bit. Watching this, I kind of had a thought in my head, like, okay, this is where it's gonna happen. This is where we're gonna see, you know, who get caught slipping.
yeah.
It happened off screen, I believe. There was no one saying anything about it happening like on screen, and we're like in the background or anything like that.
Right, because everything was focused on Joel
That's
and
right.
Ellie.
And the way they did this museum too, like again, it was a little short. Again, I get it, but it was one for one. This museum looked very well to how the game was. That shot Zach keeps putting up there, man, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, I got a better one that they showed. That's kind of the shot that they showed at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So we finally make it through here. Guns blazing. And you do get a feeling for how dangerous the clickers are because just the slightest sound. I think Ellie breathed a little hard and it was a wrap.
Yes. Yeah, she did. Oh, and there's a side note too. Clickers in HBO's The Last of Us are voiced by the same actors as the game.
I like that. Give them a little credit for what they're doing, man. They
Yeah.
killed it.
And again, if you're watching the show, make sure to comment. I did see in the crowd, Carlito, Monday Night Raw, number 30. Let us know if you're watching this show on HBO Max. We love it. Tsunami, let us know if you're watching this. Hope you're doing well too.
Oh, that's cool, man. Shout out to Carlito. So yeah, they get through their guns blazing. We see we see how dangerous it is. My girlfriend was petrified of this entire scene. That they're well done. They're making their sounds. They're listening to you. They're moving quick too.
Yes.
When I think Joel stepped on some glass or something, the
Yep.
dude dove over the whole thing. The only thing that's gonna get a little more crazier is it's gonna be hard for them to keep fighting the clickers off. In the game, they grab you, they bite your head off.
Right,
So
right.
they can't keep getting run-ins like this.
We'll see. Again, they're going to wise up, I think, to what you complain about: no bricks, no bottles. I think that's. I think they got to lean into that to educate the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, so like again, like I like that. So we finally make it out to the museum, and instantly, I don't know if you caught it, Zach. There's a change in Tess's demeanor. She's more
Yes.
urgent. She's like, all right, no more shit. Like we got to get this done. Things are changing.
Yeah, I saw. I like to spot the little details, whether it's on Monday Night Raw or there's a detail. I won't give it away that gives away the glass onion. If you pay attention to the scenes, you'll know it and you'll figure it out. But I saw a little bit of the red when they were moving when she's in the background, and I'm like, there it is. All right, she got bit.
Okay, I try to keep an eye out for that, but I didn't catch it like that. That's cool. So yeah, we know what's gonna happen. They finally make their way to what is it, the courthouse? I think they're going to.
Yeah, or Capitol building or something. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Capitol building.
look at that comparison right there, man. They're doing their job. Look at the detail of the city. Of course, it's CGI, but I mean,
Yeah.
when you add in clouds and everything.
See, that's nice, and that's where Joel. She mentioned the you can't knock the view. Another classic line from the game.
Yep.
Damn. The whole
Yeah.
bridge thing too. That bridge thing was shaky.
Yeah, that's a funny line too by Ellie. That in there was scary. This is wood.
Yeah. So again, Bella Ramsey, she's I'm getting comfortable now. She's finding her own as Ellie. She's really delivering.
Right. And if anyone wants to complain about like us not getting like all the way on board with a character and actor, when you're doing a video game adaptation, when you are playing 15 to 30 to 60 hours
Yep.
of a game with these characters, you get so familiar with them. Just look at how Chris Pratt's getting torn to shreds about Mario. But I'm just saying, like, for this show, there's so much emotional gravitas between The Last of Us 1 and 2 that to watch them on screen, it means more than just playing, like a 8-bit game.
Yeah. Yeah, you really get attached. And like there's a lot of scenes, and We're gonna get to that in a little bit because another big part of the episode is coming soon. I don't know if you had anything before you get there, Zach. Oh, here we get to the Capitol building.
Yeah, another comparison shot right there. But this is it.
Yes, we finally make it. This is where the journey's supposed to be over. Joel's like, all right, drop her off, get her out of here. They start noticing some shit. There's nobody around. There's blood everywhere.
Yep.
You get inside. Looks like one of them got infected. One of the fireflies got infected and killed the rest.
Yep. And then Ellie calls Tess out for the bite,
which happened in the game. So this is where we're gonna defer a little bit for anyone watching. Zach, if you want to start it off, how do you feel about this scene? We all know it. It was coming. Tess is infected.
It just, we talked about it. We're 2 episodes in, and the glue that is holding these two together is leaving us. So there's the infection. Just like you can tell that Ellie is like shocked because she knows, but it's weird because she's used to not having that be an issue for her. She got bit during the last battle here in the museum. But she said, of course, if one of us got it, should have been me. So for her to actually like come out here and show Joel and Ellie the bite mark, you can see Joel just like the one person that he trusts.
Yeah.
Has that bite mark. Here's another comparison.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The remake. So a few games they changed. So for me, I knew she was gonna die, obviously, but I thought like we'd at least get her to episode 3. I thought we'd get her to episode 3 at least. With this one, I felt like the game for me might have been a little more emotional. I think it might have hit me a little harder, and I think it's because when I played the first one, I thought Joel fought a little more to not let her go. I felt like she said a few words in this one, and Joel was ready to dip. He was gone. He forgot about all the years of history he had with her. And I felt in the game he just fought a little more. I thought Ellie fought more in the show now than Joel did. He's like, all right, whatever, man.
I agree.
I thought they could have built that up just a little more. Like, give me something, because in the game they really fought for it. Like, this was like, oh man, this was a shock. Like, this was like, how could it? Like, this was his person. Like you said, she was the glue. Like in the game and now, she was the glue. She's the one fighting, believing. Oh, Ellie, I think we might have some hope here with a cure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just, I didn't think about it like him just being like, "Oh, okay, bye." That's pretty funny. More comparisons here, and like you said, man, that was like what really made me, I guess, get super invested in The Last of Us.
Yeah,
you know, it's fun. It's all this other stuff and the mystery about the apocalypse and the spores and everything. But like this was like, okay, this is a real emotional ride here, and again, maybe it's because they're pressed for time and whatever it was. But I mean, I felt that this could have been drawn out a little bit more.
Yeah, but that's just me. But you enjoyed it though. You like enjoyed the rest of it.
I did. This scene too. I just really liked her just realizing everything. She did such a good job, just making sure the audience knew that it was the end for her. And this is so gross. I'm sorry, man. This was so gross.
Yeah. So here's the other part. I hope you don't have a picture. You do have a picture. I didn't want to see this again. Again, I didn't like the change that they took away the spores, but adding this whole, what do you call it, the tentacles or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
This is probably one of the nastiest things I've seen on TV. Every time I see it, I'm grossed out, which is good for viewing. It's good. It's good to have it on your show, I guess. But I hate it, but it's good.
Yeah, her face is like what I look like if someone hands me Arby's. But the whole thing, like even the beginning when they show it, the things are still alive in dead people. It's going to be a theme that goes throughout the whole connectivity thing, like you pointed out, Knock, a deviation from the game, but yeah. I think it really does add to it. It's almost like Stranger Things, where there's things that they can't step on when they're in the Upside Down because then Vecna or the other, whatever the big bad is this season will know that they're there.
Yeah. So yeah, this part happens here. Yes, Joel dips out, and I remember like I felt like there was a lot more gunshots when I played this through. Like Joel had to really run out with Ellie, and you fought through another whole part of the Capitol building. And again, with the game, I thought we had more time with it, but I guess this makes sense for her to go die in episode 2, as far as like cutting certain things that you don't need. We'll get to that in a second. But then, like the other thing that bothered me with this was the whole they were kind of walking by her. Do you think they already knew she was infected? That's why some of them walked by. And why did this one random dude come out of nowhere and just start trying to make out with her?
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't. That's a good point. I don't know if they can sense that. I know in The Walking Dead, if you cover yourself in the blood, it throws the scent
Yeah,
off. But I mean, maybe it's because she didn't move. I don't know because
yeah. But,
I
but
thought
then
the
again,
runners can
Ellie's
see you.
infected, so I don't know if they didn't chase her.
Oh, that's true.
So that's interesting. But she went out, guns blaze, not guns blazing, but in a fiery blaze.
Oh, but this
It
lighter right
wasn't
here.
working.
I know. I was stressing, man. I knew what happens, but I was still stressing
Yeah.
on that. I needed that fire to get lit. They did an Easter egg. This is Drake's lighter from another Naughty Dog video game, Uncharted.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I did see this. So this was actually from Sam. That was Sam's lighter.
Oh,
Yeah. So I think they
that makes
share it, but
sense.
I think it's originally Sam's. And what I was gonna say to this, so they had it made, custom made. This is from Neil Druckmann, who also did Uncharted 4 with Sam. Had it custom made for the show, and they duplicated it to give to Troy Baker, who's also the guy who voices Sam.
Nice touch.
Yeah. So yeah, nice little stuff there. I'm like that they're getting their games in there, getting little Easter eggs. This is what makes Naughty Dog so great. Their attention to detail is amazing.
It is. If you haven't played Naughty Dog games, highly suggest it. Knock and I absolutely love the Uncharted franchise.
Yeah.
First game, it's I don't want to say it's rough. That's a bad term, but it's almost like a tutorial which you're going to dive into for the rest of the series, which is just a deep immersion of adventure that I haven't felt since watching the Indiana Jones movies as a kid.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point there. So yeah, we get through this entire episode, man. Tess is gone. I feel like we're gonna soon start getting some Game of Thrones comparisons to how many bodies drop in the show. And now Joel and Ellie are by themselves.
Yeah. All right, now we get into some more stuff next week. We'll talk about after the episode. But I kind of forgot about all the stuff. Nick Offerman's character comes in, but we're getting more into the world of The Last of Us. They are going to go. I forgot the exact path, but through America, and you'll see some more kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of new characters that can come up, like Nick Offerman as he's playing Bill, which in the game you didn't get to see. So here's a little subtle thing they did in the game. I don't know if you guys caught it, but Bill had a lover. We didn't see his lover in the game, but we're gonna see him now. Frank, being his lover, is now we're gonna see actually somebody be Frank.
Okay.
So that's gonna be interesting to see that little change, because we didn't get to see Frank in the games. But Bill is another one. Him and Ellie's back and forth is amazing, because they're both like that type of. They're gonna snap at you, so it's gonna be cool to see.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. So Nami, you started watching it. You like it good. We really like it. We'll get our ultimate critique of the episode coming in. Now, do you think HBO Max is worth it now with The Last of Us?
That's tough. I think it is. At least for the next 2 months, give it a shot. Now's the time to do it. If you can find some other stuff to watch as well, for sure. But I'm going to be tuned into HBO Max every week for the next 2 months.
Right.
And then the last thing, since you did mention Troy Baker, there's The Last of Us. They have the Inside Last of Us, like HBO does. They have the trailers they put out. There's also a podcast, and I believe Troy Baker, who voiced Sam in Uncharted, he voices Joel in Last of Us. Troy Baker said episode 3 is where everyone who got to watch it beforehand fell in love with the show.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty good to know. Usually, like for me personally, I like to give a series 3 episodes. One, because it's the what's it called?
The pilot.
Yes, thank you. The pilot, and usually those don't really have the budget. Again,
Yeah.
reference Game of Thrones. Second one, you kind of feel like the show kind of finds out what the story for the whole show is going to be about, and then 3, I figure by show 3, you should kind of have your shit together. So
yeah. So my thing now is the way they did tests and the way they've done like all these episodes, that whole Bill and Bill's town. I think that's just gonna be one episode. Is it a longer episode? I think it's an hour and a half, I believe, right?
I think so.
I think it's gonna be an hour and a half. So they're gonna need some time to really establish Bill. He doesn't get a lot of time in the show, in the game, but his whole town, because it's all booby trapped. He's living alone. He's just doing his thing, or living very like by his means. So it's gonna be really cool to see that play out on TV. So I'm really excited for episode 3 and Bill. He was a great character, and I can see that really being cool on TV.
Nice, and it's 1 hour and 20 minutes next Sunday night. The ratings for this are insane. I don't care what metric you use. If you use Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, if you look at whatever journalist out there that has a score out for this show, it's just I think it deserves every positive score that it's getting.
That's really cool, man. That is really cool. Eric on the show. There's three of us. If you guys are new to this, there's three of us on the show. Eric's an Xbox guy, and they had Halo drop, I think, a year ago, man. God damn. Stick to the source material and throw a little tidbits here and there. That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. Oh, man. And then here's the other picture of the clicker right here that I just wanted to show. Like, this was like the one that they kept going back to that they wanted to do. They had all these other prototypes and like drawings done up, but it was always the first one that was basically the rendition of the video game.
Yeah.
So just the detail and just just the appreciation for the game.
I love it too because it's different. Like, yes, it's technically zombies, but I love that they have it's the fungus. It's an infection thing that they're doing. You can really see that in this detail, so it gives it a little difference, and I really like that.
Yeah, same here. Especially thought that flower stuff you just said about episode 1. It just like blew my mind. That didn't even catch on.
If they keep throwing stuff like this, we're gonna keep trying to pick up on little things, man. We're watching these episodes weekly. We're gonna have these reviews out for you guys. Just hit this like button, support, man. Really appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying it too, let us know. But yeah, so what? 2 episodes down, 7 more episodes to go.
Yes.
I think that's all the Easter eggs and little tidbits I found this week. I don't know if Zach had anything else.
That was it, really. I was just in awe of how I'll say this then for like my end here. This was the best adaptation of a video game I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So it just felt like I was watching someone play it. That's why I say it. Like it felt like you're watching someone play the game. It didn't work in Doom where you have 70-75% of the movie as the movie, and then the other 20-25% first person shooter during the action scenes. Like, it doesn't work. So to be able to translate the source game to the screen, it just works. So if I come across anyone who says, should I play the game that they like to show, I'll say, did you like episode 2? That's basically how the game plays.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I think we're both on the same page here. Like, I had my little stuff here. Zach really enjoyed it. I really hope next week they show. There's a part in Billstown. Again, he has a lot of traps. I hope they show a lot of stuff from the game. I'm really excited for that. So we'll be back next week. Let us know what you guys think. And Zach, your score, man. What's your score out of 5 this week?
My score out of 5 this week, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5 just because I've never come across something that was a video game adaptation that I enjoyed just as much as something like the video game that I enjoyed so much. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think last week I went 4.5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give this one a 4.2 out of 5.
Okay.
Still loved it, still great. It just, for me, that whole test thing, I needed just a little more motion there.
Okay, I got you.
When Joel did the whole thing with Sarah, amazing, killed it. But this one, I just want a little more because this was a huge part of the game. Besides that, great episode, great details. On to episode 3 next week, man. I'm very excited.
Me too. I can't wait.
All right, with that, man, that was our episode 2 Last of Us review on HBO Max. Keep an eye out for more episodes, keep more videos coming, man. We're here, we're both here, we're gonna put the videos out. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, tell everybody, join the conversation, hit the chat, hit the comments. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Later, everyone.